Although you guys know that I'm a big fan of the Disney Pixar movies, especially the Cars franchise, as that's literally what my channel has been primarily about for nearly 10 years. I don't think it's any surprise that I'm also a big Marvel fan, and my favorite movies all time are actually Marvel movies. And so today we are going to indulge in that passion of mine, and I'm going to explain to you my top 10 favorite Marvel characters, kind of give you my little story behind them. Why do I think that they deserve to be in my top 10? It's going to be pretty controversial, I think. I have a lot of unpopular opinions, especially the ones kind of backloaded here in the back five, not the top five, but the, I guess, 6 to 10 range. I don't think many people would put these in their top 10, but we're going to get right into it. I'm super excited to do this video. You guys know I love Marvel. I love the movies so much, and to be able to talk about them on my channel as I do with Cars and, you know, kind of exploit this passion as well. It's going to be really fun. I hope you guys enjoyed. So let me know in the comment section below, what are your top 10 characters, or what's your favorite top 5? I know it's difficult. It took me a while to actually form this list. So if you want to just give me 1, 2, 5, whatever it is, let me know in the comments below. I'm very interested. Heroes, villains alike, it doesn't matter. We do have, I think, like 1.5 villains basically on this list. So maybe 2.5, maybe like 1 3/4. It's very weird, but anyways, we're gonna get right into it here. With number 10 is Icarus from the recent Marvel movie Eternals. Definitely the most controversial pick in my opinion on the top 10 here, but let me explain. Now, while a lot of people gave the movie Eternals some criticism because the characters felt bland, the story just didn't feel very captivating, I feel like it's the exact opposite. I think that this is one of the most unique Marvel movies, and it actually provokes a lot of deep intellectual thought, and I think Icarus is at the core of that, and I think he, like Richard Madden, did the best acting job in the entire movie. Like Gemma Chan, I can give you that she felt a little bland, a little unemotional, a little stoical at points in the movie. I think on the flip side of that, Richard Madden's Icarus was stellar. He did a fantastic job. You could tell how torn he is in that movie between Cersei, you know, and his love for Cersei, and then also fulfilling his purpose that he has been trying to go after for thousands and thousands of years. And some spoilers here for Eternals, obviously. Icarus does end up essentially being one of the villains of the movie, at least for a brief period, before he eventually lets his love for Cersei overcome his will to fulfill his purpose for Arishem. And now, while us Earthlings here think, why on earth would anyone want, you know, the Earth to be destroyed at the cost of, you know, a new Celestial or whatever, or at the gain of a new Celestial? Well, you gotta think of it in like a cosmic sense. The birth of a new Celestial, at least the way we're told, would let many, many more worlds flourish in the future. And now, obviously, we're biased here, and we don't know if there's anything out there else in the universe. We don't know if there's anything living out there. Who knows? But in the Marvel universe, there are, and everyone knows that there are, you know, tons of other worlds out there. After, you know, Thanos and the Chitauri invaded, everyone knows that, like, you're not alone here on Earth. And so in that world, in the Marvel universe, you can kind of empathize with Icarus in that, like, well, or Arishem or whatever. I know Arishem is the definite villain, especially at the end of the movie there, but to let other worlds flourish, like, basically you're saying, like, Earth is going to die, and then many other worlds will live, be born, come into existence, or all of those people will die, basically. They'll just never come into existence, and then Earth will continue to live. So obviously, don't call me a crazy person here. Like, obviously, I want Earth to remain alive, and obviously, if the Celestial was born, we'd lose basically the entire Marvel universe because a bunch of the heroes are on Earth there. But anyways, that's not really the point of this video. I want to just explain that Icarus had such a great arc during the movie. Obviously, you know, not super happy he killed Ajax, not super happy he lied, but toward the end of the movie you could just really see how torn he is there, and I think it's really just a phenomenal character development. I hope that we see more of him in the future. I hope that maybe they reforge him at the World Forge there, maybe in a potential Eternals 2. But if they don't, I am accepting, and I'm happy with the death that they gave him flying into the sun. I think that's pretty fitting. But anyways, I hope you guys don't think I'm a crazy person in kind of understanding where Icarus was coming from. Now moving on to one that is a definite villain. So I guess when I was saying like 1 3/4 villains, it's basically because 3 of the ones on this list are like hero slash villains at different points during their arcs. Mysterio, on the other hand, is 100% a villain. Now the reason I have him so low on this list is because he was really only in one movie and didn't get much screen time on us. I really wish we got more out of him, and I hope we do in the future, because obviously Master of Illusion, we have no idea if he's actually dead or not. In my opinion, if they found his body at the London Bridge, like where he died, basically, you know, wherever that was, I think, yeah, it was the London Bridge, his body should be there. And if they found it, I think everyone would realize that he was in the fake costume, right? I mean, he didn't have the Mysterio suit on. It was like the projection costume, and then everyone realized that he was the villain all along. But clearly, that is not the narrative during No Way Home, and so it kind of leads me to believe that no one found his body. I don't know. I hope they clarify that in the future, and I really do actually hope he's alive. But the reason why I have him on this list is because, first, I like Jake Gyllenhaal a lot. Taylor Swift stuff aside, I don't even know what goes on there, but I haven't really listened to her recent songs, but apparently there's some drama there. But either way, he's a phenomenal actor. Definitely his best movie, in my opinion, is Nocturnal Animals. That's a phenomenal film. I highly recommend. But he did a great job here, too. Honestly, when the first trailers came out for Far From Home, everyone thought like he was going to end up being a villain, but I honestly had like a glimmer of hope in me, thinking that he would actually be like one of the heroes, and they just changed it from the comics. Oh, we're going to make Mysterio like a hero now because he's such a cool character, right? But no, they didn't, and that's fine. I think he had a great arc during the film, and you can kind of see how he's like a little crazy. I like how they add the little Civil War storyline. Like, he was the inventor of the BARF, like the virtual reality stuff that Tony Stark was presenting at MIT, I think it was. And so I like that they gave him that backstory. And I like how there were like those little outbursts he had where he's like, fire all the drones, and where he yelled at like his friends and pointed all the drones' guns at them. I thought that was really wild, and I liked that a lot. I just think that the best qualities to him are his intelligence and then just his overall impact on the MCU. I mean, if you think about it, he is the reason for No Way Home. No Way Home's kind of the reason for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and we have no idea what that could lead to. I mean, that's going to lead to many, many other things. And now we don't know to what extent No Way Home directly is going to lead into the events of the second Doctor Strange movie, but there is some correlation, obviously, after looking at that trailer there for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So I think his impact and just the way he played that, I mean, it's just so smart to be able to do that. He really is the master of illusion. They nailed him. Like, he is just such a trickster. I love the illusion fight scene, like in that construction site. Oh my God, I love Mysterio, and I hope he's not dead. Number 8 on this list is Nebula. Believe it or not, Nebula. Now, I think Nebula is going to parallel like my number 1 favorite character, which some of you guys may know. I've talked about it before, but either way, this is a villain turned hero, and I hated Nebula. Like in Guardians of the Galaxy, there were so many moments where like Gamora would give her a chance. I think Gamora like reached for her hand, and like Nebula just like cut it off, and that's how she lost her hand and then fell onto one of the ships or whatever. So I was like, come on, like, why don't you just join the good side at the end of the movie? But no, it took a little bit longer. I'm glad that they drew that out to just make it all that much more powerful when she actually did end up, you know, becoming an Avenger. And when she did, like, she was a full-on Avenger. She was a pivotal part to Avengers Endgame, which I absolutely loved. But getting kind of back to the start of her, the roots of Nebula, they laid such a fabulous groundwork with her punishment and just pain that kind of led to just a blind loyalty to her father Thanos. And eventually, you know, she realizes that she can escape that. But again, in Endgame, at that point, like the 2014 version of her, there was no reality in her mind. There was no realm where she thought she could escape Thanos. And so it made for such a great story. They're like a little mini side plot where the two nebulas were basically fighting. Not like a full-on fight, but like they were kind of having that moment there with Gamora and Hawkeye. I love that scene. It's such a great scene. I love that when Nebula kills her younger self, like the tears roll down her face. I mean, come on, like that is just elite storytelling. And I think that when she comforts Tony Stark in the Benatar, the ship there at the beginning of Endgame, that's another great scene. Like, you just realize that her complete transformation has come to fruition. She is now 100% a hero. And of course, we knew that in Infinity War when she crashed on the Titan and tried to go nuts on the Thanos, and showed a great care for Gamora as well when she's asking where Gamora is. And so you could tell that she's very upset at her sister's death. And obviously in Endgame, she is a full-on hero. So we love that. Super happy about that. I was a little worried that she might betray the Avengers. I was really considering that, but obviously that did not happen. So super cool. Love Nebula, and I hope that they continue to develop her character and make her a little bit more loose, because she's always been really tense and just kind of uptight. So I hope she becomes a little bit more like the What If version of her. Maybe they add the hair to her. That would be awesome. I hope they make her a little bit more loose and friendlier with the Guardians. Again, that also scene with Rocket at the beginning of Endgame where they're like holding each other's hands, like kind of in lamenting the deaths of all their friends. Like, all the other Guardians are dead, right? And so I think that's another great scene. So that's why she lands at number 8. And Karen Gillan's, fantastic actress, fantastic. Number 7 on the list is another Guardian of the Galaxy, Rocket Raccoon. Definitely one of the more fun characters in the MCU, always cracking jokes, but he is the most ruthless character, I think, almost. Like, he is a bad A. I don't want to swear, but he is that. Like, that is the only way I can really describe his character. I just love that he doesn't care about anything. He's a raccoon living amongst humans, and he just doesn't care. And I love also his development from going from a very selfish character to very much so a team player. At the beginning there, him and Groot, like, they are just... that's all he cares about. He just cares about Groot, and that's fine, and they care about making money. And eventually, though, well, he also wanted to let Gamora die out there. When Star-Lord, when they got off that planet, I think it was Nowhere, and Star-Lord wanted to save Gamora, and Rocket was trying to persuade him not to. That's another super powerful scene. I want to do a video on, like, the most powerful scenes from each movie, and that would definitely be one of them. But anyways, so as all the movies go on, he definitely becomes more of a team player. And like I said, with Nebula there, he was lamenting the deaths of all of his friends. And so you could just tell how he's changed so much, but he still has like that ruthlessness to him. I love always how he's got like the weapons mastery vibe to him. Just such a phenomenal character. And I just always am happy like when he's on screen, because he's always going to like crack a joke or say something funny, or just kind of break the awkward silence. Like in Avengers Endgame, he definitely had some moments like that when he said boo when they were assembling the Infinity Gauntlet. So yeah, I really like Rocket, but there's not much else to say about him. There isn't really that much depth, I guess, to his character. But I do really like how he kind of takes care of Groot in a fatherly way. All right, number 6 is Wanda, aka the Scarlet Witch. So this one was not really anywhere close to my top 10 until WandaVision, which is my favorite Marvel show, which is surprising. Like, I did not expect it to be. I thought that Falcon and the Winter Soldier would be, because perhaps you might find one of those characters in the top 5 here. But anyways, I really love WandaVision. It was a little slow at the start, but I think like in a rewatch, it makes it so much better to like see the build up, kind of see like how she wants her life to be, and then you understand like her motives for everything. You understand why she wanted this. She used to love the sitcoms growing up. Like, what was that show? Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot it. But anyways, they were like, in that flashback watching the old TV show. I can't believe I forgot that show. Like, I literally know, I used to watch that show with my parents. I'm very ashamed of myself right now. But anyways, yeah, and then it just kind of all comes to fruition throughout the years. You get to see how she got her powers and everything, and, dealing with the grief of not only losing her brother, but also losing Vision. And so it was great kind of like romance tale as well. The finale was phenomenal. A lot of people don't like the finale, but I think it's so powerful. Like, you have the ship of Theseus scene. I think that's a great scene. You have before that the scene when Vision falls from the sky and is disintegrating as the hex is basically opening up to the real world, and he like reaches out for Wanda, and then the kids reach out for her. Like, that is an extremely powerful scene, and she's just like torn. She like doesn't know what to do. She doesn't want to see them die in front of her. She doesn't want them to basically see her let them die. And then, of course, you have the ending scene when they're in the living room and the whole hex closes upon them and Vision disintegrates. I think it's just a phenomenal series, and I don't know why people didn't really like the finale. Of course, no Doctor Strange, but I think that's okay. You know, we'll see plenty of them in the upcoming movie, and I'm excited for where they take her character. I just hope they don't make her a villain. I would be okay with a variant of her being villainous, but I don't think it's right to make her a villain, because she really just had a villain arc during WandaVision. Like, she entrapped those people for a long period of time, and I think you can't go back to that. Like, she completely admitted she made mistakes, and she said people got hurt. And so you think that she wouldn't go back to anything like that unless, I don't know, I guess it's possible if she realizes there's a chance her kids are alive somewhere. But who knows? I honestly hope that's a variant of her, like Doctor Strange, you know, like an evil Doctor Strange that we saw in the trailer there. I hope maybe, you know, a few days when they release like a new trailer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, we'll know. So maybe this will become irrelevant. But anyways, love Wanda. Also love her development. You know, one of the great scenes from, in my opinion, Age of Ultron is when she goes to rip out Ultron's heart. Just, oh my God, beautiful. I remember she was like, oh, do you know what it felt like? It felt like that. That was just so good. And then Vision comes and saves her. And that's 2015, and then you have 2021 with WandaVision. Just see the progression of those characters. It's so great. I love her costume as well, and I love that they enhanced it for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, adding the sleeves to it. I think it looks great, and yeah, obviously cannot wait to see her in the upcoming movie here. But all right, moving into the top 5 now. Here we have Captain America. Captain America used to be my favorite character, I think, but as he progressed through the movies, I realized he became less and less relatable. And it's not really like a knock on him. Like, I love him still. You know, he's a great character. Nothing wrong with that. I think I wouldn't have changed anything. But at the beginning of his arc, and especially the first 2 Captain America movies, and obviously the first Captain America movie when he's like the scrawny kid, you know, you empathize with that and you relate to that. Because, I mean, all of us, we're not like super buff like the rest of the Avengers. But we all can have like a heart. We all can have that heroic gene to us where we would, you know, jump on a grenade for other people. I mean, obviously not everyone has that, but that's something that you can aspire toward. You can aspire toward that bravery, whereas, you know, just being buff and just being super ripped like Thor is just, it's not very plausible for the majority of us, at least for me. You know, maybe you, I don't know. I'll speak for myself, I guess. But anyways, as the movies went on though, you know, you have Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. He had some phenomenal moments. You know, wielding Mjolnir was great, but he just became a little bit harder for me to relate to. I wasn't able to connect with the character as much. And actually, as we move into these like top 4 characters, all of them I connect to and I relate to in some way. And I think that's the makings of a great superhero or a great character in general, somebody that the audience can relate to. And it's hard in superhero movies because they are superheroes and no one's a superhero, right? So it's super hard to do that. And Marvel really masters it with these upcoming 4 characters, in my opinion. And I think they did it better earlier on with Captain America, and then they just kind of lost it, or they didn't focus on it as much. You know, obviously he has such a great heart, which is something that we can all inspire toward and we can all try and emulate. But at the beginning of his arc, especially during the first Captain America movie, you know, losing his friend, you know, and even in Winter Soldier, like when he finds Bucky again and he doesn't want to kill him, he doesn't want to hurt his friend that literally was the reason he is who he is today. And so I think those 2 movies are great. Captain America, the Winter Soldier, we'll talk about that movie in a couple minutes here, but I think that was one of the most well done movies ever. It's just such a subtle superhero movie. It doesn't have like 500 characters like Infinity War, Endgame, but still amazing, right? I think it's one of the best films they've done. But yeah, love Captain America. He's just kind of slid down my list over the last few years. Now, number 4 is Daredevil. Now, Daredevil has a special spot in my heart for reasons not really related to the character itself. Basically, I think the first season of Daredevil dropped in 2015, and at that time, my family did not have Netflix, and I was like, 14 years old, and I wanted to watch this series because I was just getting into Marvel kind of a few years before that, and my mom did not want to purchase Netflix because she didn't want another monthly subscription, and I begged and begged and begged and begged, and eventually she gave in. However, now she is, I mean, my parents watch Netflix every single night. Like, that's all they watch. And so it's funny. I love to bring it up and joke with her and kind of rub it in her face. Like, yeah, you were the one that didn't want Netflix at all, and now it's all you watch. You're welcome for that. And so Daredevil was like the first thing on Netflix I ever watched, and I absolutely adored. Like, when that first season dropped, I think it was like March 15th or something, 2015. I watched like all the episodes almost in one sitting, which was not very healthy, but either way, like, that was just a phenomenal series. I enjoyed season 2 and 3 equally, if not more. Season 2 might be my favorite because I love the Elektra and Punisher stuff. Season 3 had amazing Bullseye stuff as well. And you can't even compare it to Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist. Those shows are just not as gripping and captivating as Daredevil. I don't know what or how, but Daredevil is just eons and eons ahead of those other 3 shows. I watched the first seasons of those other 3. I couldn't even bring myself to really finish the other seasons. I've almost finished Iron Fist. I've seen a couple of Jessica Jones. I don't think I even started Luke Cage season 2. I want to, and I probably should, because apparently the Netflix shows are leaving on March 1st. I heard that, but Daredevil is just so good, and he is a much more relatable character in my opinion. He's just kind of like a normal everyday guy, and he's got a disability. You know, he is blind, so he's not like your typical superhero who's kind of perfect in every way like Captain America ends up being and Thor. And I love that about him, and he has that kind of tragic backstory with his dad. You know, we don't know much about his mom really until season 3, and so there's so much depth to his character, and again, like I said, it holds that special place in my heart because it's something that I always looked forward to. Like, when a new season came out, I was so excited to binge it, and I think I watched the first season with my parents as well, and they enjoyed it, and so it was just kind of like a great experience. And you know, obviously, I'm sure you can imagine I was thrilled to see him in No Way Home, and all the news lately has made me even more excited that he wants to play the character forever. He's going to be in She-Hulk and other things, and so yeah, I can't wait for more Charlie Cox's Daredevil. Super duper excited about that. And now moving on to the top 3 here. Number 3 is Spider-Man. Yep, pretty obvious. Like, I don't think it's any surprise that Spider-Man is one of my favorite characters. He is definitely one of the most relatable to anyone pretty much my age, especially in No Way Home. Like, when he was applying for college and they all got rejected, I felt that. Like, I got rejected to a ton of schools, and so to see that and see that kind of parallel in my life, that really hit home, and honestly, it definitely brought him up a few notches in my book. He also is just such like a great character. You know, all of his movies were phenomenal. I mean, they are all like within the top 10 of my Marvel movies. Like Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home. They're all great. No Way Home is like my second favorite movie of all time. Far From Home, like I said, I love Mysterio in that. I also love Vulture from the first Spider-Man movie. I almost put him on this list, and maybe he will after the Morbius movie. We'll see whatever is going on in that movie. But yeah, no, I love it so much. And can't wait to see more of him in the upcoming series. It was so heartbreaking to see the end of No Way Home. Of course, some spoilers here, but obviously everyone forgets who he is. So he's just stripped down, and that also makes him more relatable. He has to start over with everyone, and it's really sad. I'm very afraid that things won't work out the same way that they did before. I think that him and MJ will get back together, but I don't think Ned will be his best friend anymore. I don't think that will happen just because Ned Reeds is the Hobgoblin, and Marvel is not going to blunder that opportunity to have basically like a 4 or 5 movie arc for Ned that ultimately results in him becoming a villain. And I'm sure they'll make it work because of this whole memory thing. And I think it might end up having to do with Ned like crushing on MJ because there's no absence of Peter, and he doesn't think that he has to compete with Peter anymore because he doesn't even know Peter. But then Peter just kind of comes out of nowhere and sweeps MJ off her feet. And then Ned's like, what? I've known MJ forever and you just come out of nowhere. Even though they both have known him just as long, if not longer. And so I think that's a great way to do that Hobgoblin arc. And honestly, I would not be surprised if that actually panned out that way. But yeah, love Spider-Man. Love it, love it, love it. I just don't know what else to really say about him. Like, he's just like a kid just trying to utilize his power for good. And I just feel like that's such an admirable thing to do. I think most people, if they got bit by a spider and became, you know, a superhero like that, would not utilize it to go fight crime. They would be like, all right, I'm going to now play football. I'm going to go into the NFL, right? Like, they would totally do something like that. Spider-Man's like, no, I'm going to take a different route. And I think that's something we can all learn from and obviously relate to. Now, moving into the top two here, we have Thor. So Thor is my number 2 favorite, and you guys can probably imagine that I'm very excited for these upcoming movies this year, you know, Doctor Strange and Thor Love and Thunder, with most of these characters being in those films. You know, you have Nebula and Rocket likely being in Thor Love and Thunder, and you have Wanda, of course, being in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. And so I'm very excited for these upcoming movies, but Thor ended up becoming the most relatable character for me, I think, or one of the most. I think maybe number 1 might be more so, but Thor lost everything and he just became far more relatable than Captain America. They like totally switched spots. Like in the first 2 Thor movies, not really a fan, definitely one of my least favorite characters out of the main Avengers, and then yet he just vaulted into stardom with Thor Ragnarok, I think, because he literally lost everything. You know, he lost his dad, he lost his mom. Like, I love the Thor the Dark World scene where he loses his mom. I think that's a great scene as well, and that's just kind of the start of it. You know, eventually loses his dad, and even in the Dark World, he loses Loki, or at least he thinks he does. That's another super powerful scene, even though he doesn't really lose him. And then, you know, you get to Ragnarok and stuff really starts to hit the fan, as they would say, and absolutely love how his arc developed. And eventually in Infinity War and Endgame, I think is really what solidified him as like my number 2 favorite, because when he gets onto the Guardian ship, like, he is super depressed, and like he says to Rocket, like, he has nothing left to lose anymore, and he's just going to try and kill Thanos at all costs. You know, lost Heimdall as well. And then in Endgame, now he's even more depressed because he could have killed Thanos, or at least he thinks he could have, and he went for the chest instead of the head. And then when he realizes that the whole plan doesn't work, he just falls out of his like workout habits, I guess, and becomes a little chunky, I guess you could say, and just drinks beer all day and plays Fortnite, which, you know, that's cool. I mean, again, that just adds that relatability to him. Not saying that, like, you know, that's what people do, but like that's just something that you wouldn't think like a superhero, like a god to do, like just like play video games and drink, right? And yet it's just a human emotion. It's just like you're depressed, you feel like you failed everyone, you're the reason that everyone's dead, and that's what happens. Like, that's just a human emotion. So it was so great to see that in Endgame. I thought that was a great direction for the character, and I just cannot wait for what they do with him in Love and Thunder. I really hope that they continue on the great arc, and I don't know really what else they could add to the character. I really don't know. He's gone through a lot, and so I hope that they find a way to keep him interesting, and I think the really only way to do that is to finally give him a love interest that lasts with Jane Foster, and I think that is what they're going with, obviously Love and Thunder, right? And I think that is like the last thing you can really do for Thor. Maybe there's a 5th movie that is kind of like the end of everything where he dies. I would totally see that happening. Maybe they do like Avengers 5 with Thor in it, and then they eventually kill him off in like a 5th Thor movie. I feel like that's likely. But I think this movie will be great. I'm very excited for it, honestly. I think the trailer should drop like in a few days. I think it actually should drop tomorrow, right? Isn't that what's rumored? And so I hope it's good. I'm so excited, honestly. I'm so excited. That is my Valentine's Day gift. I don't have a Valentine except for Thor Love and Thunder trailer, right? So yeah, really excited for that. And that is why Thor is my number 2 favorite character. Now, number 1, you guys probably already know if you have watched any of my Marvel videos, and that is the Winter Soldier, aka Bucky Barnes. I probably say it the other way around, right? But he has had, in my opinion, the best arc of any character out of all the Marvel movies. Starting in the very first Captain America movie, becoming a villain, like dying, becoming a villain, kind of becoming like that in-between stage where like he doesn't want to kill anyone anymore, but he just doesn't want to go to prison. He just kind of wants to live in peace in Romania, right? And, you know, buy plums at the market. and then ultimately becoming an Avenger, and then ultimately becoming fully realized Bucky and a hero, a full hero in the Disney Plus Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, and helping Sam Wilson eventually become who he's meant to be as Captain America, right? So just a phenomenal character arc for Bucky. And I think this is where there's also some like emotional attachment to the character, because The Winter Soldier was the first Marvel movie I saw in theaters. I actually was super against superhero movies in like 2012. I remember one of my friends is like, all right, yeah, you want to come see the Avengers with us? I was like, no, I have no interest at all in seeing a superhero movie. That seems stupid. And then I think what happened was I ended up watching one of the movies on the TV. I think it was probably Captain America: The First Avenger. I think that was the first movie I've seen. And maybe it was one of the Iron Man movies as well. I don't know. Either way, I watched like one of the films, one of the like solo films, and it's like, oh, that was actually pretty gosh darn good. And then it vaulted me into, everything else. And so I think, yeah, like 2014 with Winter Soldier was the first movie I did end up seeing. And then I think I saw all the movies after that. I did not see The Dark World. Did The Dark World come out in like winter? It was November or December of 2013 or 2014. I did not see that movie in theaters. I know I did see like Winter Soldier, and then I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, and then Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, etc., right? I think it must have been 2013 for Thor: The Dark World. Yeah, it was like December 2013. Yeah, that's why I didn't see that one in theaters. But anyways, yeah. Honestly, when I first saw Bucky in The Winter Soldier, I didn't even know really who it was. I didn't know that was going to be him, and so it was super exciting to watch that and realize like, oh, that was the character from the first movie I just watched. And because I wasn't into like watching all the breakdowns of trailers and whatnot, so I really went to that movie blind, and it was such a great experience. And I was rooting for him to, become a good guy throughout that entire movie, as I did with Nebula, right? But they drew it out a little bit more, took it all the way through Civil War, and I'm glad they did, because it made the payoff that much better. I love the final fight between him and Iron Man in Civil War. I think that one's super visceral, super great, because he doesn't want to like hurt Iron Man. Like, he doesn't want to really fight him, because he realizes like, yeah, I killed your parents, but it wasn't really me, so please don't attack me. Let's just talk this out. Like, I don't really want to do this. Like, we don't have to do this, right? But Iron Man's just fueled on emotions, and so such a great movie there as well. And then eventually, him becoming an Avenger, and then ultimately helping out Sam Wilson in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think that was it was a really good show. There were some moments I liked better than others. There's probably the best scene was the fight with him, Falcon, against John Walker in that factory warehouse there. And there's a scene where there's light coming in through a window, and it shines perfectly only on Bucky as he holds the shield, and then he drops it for Sam Wilson to pick up. And you could tell in his eyes, he's like, yeah, don't ever give this thing away again. Like, you could tell that he's pissed, because like, I mean, they literally almost just died in this warehouse because Falcon gave away the shield in the first place. Falcon almost died. I don't know if you would say Bucky almost died, but Falcon undoubtedly almost died. If he had that shield come down on top of him, he would have been a goner after John Walker tore his wings off. And so, yeah, again, that was a phenomenal scene, and really shows the character development for Bucky, in addition to the flashback to Wakanda when he finally is free of his own, he's got his mind back, right? And you can't say the 17-day break, train, whatever thing. You can't say that anymore and trigger him, and so we love that. Love also how he spares Zemo, another great scene there. And I, obviously, him being my favorite character, I do like him more than Falcon. I want him to become Captain America, but I totally understand like why they went with Sam. Like, there was undoubtedly, like, I can't argue with anyone and say like Bucky should have been Captain America. I just wanted him to, but I mean, there's really no reason he should have been that. I mean, you can't make somebody who's known to have been an assassin, even brainwashed, you can't make him the new Captain America. Whereas you can make Sam Wilson, who has always been a patriot throughout his life, like, who literally served, So, yeah. That is my top 10 list. I hope to see all these characters again in future movies, although I'm a little Not super sure how much we'll see of Icarus or Mysterio, and obviously Captain America, not really. We're not going to see Steve Rogers anymore, but I'm sure we will see all of these other ones. Actually, I'm almost confident we will see them all again. Yeah, Nebula, Rocket, Wanda, Daredevil, Spidey, Thor, yeah, Bucky. I guess Bucky is really the most unknown one out of all those, although I'm sure he'll be in that Captain America 4 movie. And hopefully Avengers 5 as well. Hopefully all these characters can reunite for an Avengers 5. So anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was super long, but I hope you enjoyed it. I really wanted to kind of make my points thorough and really kind of go over everything and just kind of talk with you guys. So I'll see you guys soon for another video. Bye now.